right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most!
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up live show, live reaction. Then we're on the No Laying Up podcast YouTube channel. So hit us with a little subscribe here if you're watching this live and are unfamiliar with this channel. I am Solly, joined by the assistant captain on the European side, Mr. Tron Carter. Hello, TC. How are you?
Hey, Solly. I'm good. I've been better before. I'm
Sad
just
today.
Yeah, just stock and boring. I think it's a bad combo.
Dude, that was electric, man. My heart was racing. I honestly and truly did not know at any point what name was getting ready to come next. When the Morikawa name came early, I thought that meant really bad news for Ben Griffin. Then Ben Griffin came, and then I thought that meant bad news for Cam Young. Then Cam Young came. Like it was suspenseful, man. And we're gonna unpack it all, and I'm looking forward to doing so. I want to before we do that, we'll give a shout out to our friends at Rhoback. You guys know how much we love Rhoback. The crisp polos, the subtle dog logo, most comfortable hoodies on the planet. We've teamed up with Rhoback and Erin Hills to give you a shot at a bucket list golf experience. You and a friend will join 2 members of the NLU crew for an unforgettable round of championship golf at Erin Hills. Again, your prize includes that said round of golf with 2 of us at Erin Hills, a one-night stay in Erin Hills world-class cottages, a travel credit to get you there, $1,000 in Rhoback gear to look and feel your best on the course. Go to rhoback.com/NLU to enter. It's free. It takes 30 seconds, and you might end up teeing it up with some of us on one of the top golf courses in the world while enjoying the best gear out there. Shout out to Rhoback for supporting this one. Also, shout out to our friends at Whoop, the official fitness wearable of the PGA and LPGA Tour. The all-new Whoop is here, the only wearable that turns your health and fitness data into personalized guidance. It's 7% smaller, 14 days of battery life, TC. The only problem I have is sometimes I don't remember where I put this thing because of how infrequently I have to charge my Whoop. It's been really powerful. It gives you great new features like health span, shows you how your daily habits impact your pace of aging. It's been a really refreshing thing for me to have cut a lot of alcohol out and see the immediate benefits in my recovery scores and in the sleep. So go to join.whoop.com/NLU to get a free month on us and start optimizing your life on and off the course. Again, join.whoop.com/NLU for a free month on us. TC, the captain's picks for the United States. Justin Thomas, Collin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cam Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns in that order. But I think we have to start off the jump. Keegan Bradley, was that a big rope-a-dope? Was that a big smoke screen? All of this, I feel a little bit bamboozled. What's your reaction to Keegan not taking himself?
I do not believe that it was as cut and dry as he made it, that, he wasn't going to pick himself and all of that. I don't think he wanted to say that, hey, a lot of the guys that I was considering and even some of these guys that made it on the team, they just didn't play well down the stretch and made it probably closer than I think it should have been. And I'm just bummed for Keegan that he couldn't crack the boys club again. This thing reeks of the task force, playing it safe. I'm disappointed because I think it's bad for the content. And it's also just, I don't know, it's just vanilla. I think at the very least, send a message to Morikawa, leave him off the team. That's the very, the least I wanted.
I might just need to take your answers, chat GPT it, and just have it reapply for the European squad. You're going to have to leave Shane Lowry off the team if you want to leave Morikawa off the team. It can't all be as exciting as Europe bringing 11 of the same 12 guys in their little boys club back over to Bethpage and all of that. Don't think I won't hold you accountable for all of these.
Well, I think in a way, Ryder Cup's different than a home Ryder Cup as well. So
it's really hard. It is. He kind of dismissed. It's one of two things. He either lied today in the press conference or lied earlier this week with all the rope-a-dope smoke screen of the guys that qualified told me they want me to pick myself. It really seemed. I came into today expecting him to pick himself. It really did seem like that was going to be the case. As silly as that has seemed for many, many months, has been highly and well documented here on this podcast of why I think that is a very poor decision. I'm now sitting wondering, like, was this all just one giant media show draw out from the PGA of America? And I was watching that pick show, like, this is kind of genius. Like, it is suspenseful. I don't know what's going to happen. It has definitely increased interest in the event. I'm not sure the event needed it. Like, it is the biggest event, in golf every 2 years in terms of just media.
In New York,
talking point. Yeah, I don't know if it was needed, but it worked. Like, it really did work. And he seemed a little almost bummed by his own decision of not picking himself. But I would say this, look, he's been bestowed an incredible honor of being the captain. I've never done either of these things and likely never will. But it's probably better than even being a player. And again, this could have been one giant media stunt, or like maybe there's still the possibility that real damage has been done in the process of his preparation to be the captain. But JT intimated that to not be the case in terms of the communication's been excellent and perhaps a little too forward at times. But I have to commend Keegan for making the right call. I do not commend him for creating a completely unnecessary distraction over the last year, really, with all of this. But I was on board with the Keegan captaincy, and I still think this could go really, really well. I think it would have been very silly, for him to have tried to do both of these things. And I think, like, again, if you completely remove yourself from the, like, trying to win the Ryder Cup, which I know people have different opinions on what this event is in terms of it's an exhibition versus the peak of sporting event. Like, you have to be, the PGA of America has turned this thing into a complete circus, and they have to be absolutely tickled with how it's all playing out. Like, winning is very clearly secondary to the PGA of America. And I think there's still a very good chance that they win. The U.S. will still be favorites, still could blow up in their face in some way with how this is all handled. But man, it's fascinating. It's very fascinating how it's all worked out.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready to give the PGA of America that much credit for them.
Just stirring the pot. That's all I'm giving them credit for. Like, they were dramatic about the whole thing. That's what I'm giving them credit for.
I think it's amazing how Keegan said he learned so much from these guys that don't seem all that close and friendly, rooting for each other out on the road, out at tournaments. Like, man, how cold and lonely must the first 15 years of your career been if you've never seen other guys rooting for one another before. That was crazy. I think, I'm with you on, like, I think the playing captain thing, like, it's been a bit the whole time. Like, the playing captain thing was going to be tough, not so much for the captaincy part, but I think for the playing part, like him being able to go practice, sure, right? Or get himself mentally ready. Like, shit, I get scattered when I show up 20 minutes before my tee time and not so much practice, but just I'm not in the right mental zone to play. And I don't know. I think the one thing that really sticks out to me is just, like, is the team going to look a lot different going to Adair Manor? Are you going to have, is there going to be a lot of turnover there? Like, I think the European team used last year, I think, to get ahead of some of your criticisms of European team bringing 11 of 12 guys back.
It's not a real criticism. I'm just mocking your take.
Yeah,
that's not a criticism.
And substituting in, Rasmus and Nikolai, who are essentially the same player. I'm not sure if you've seen that data golf thing. It's identical, that overlay. But I think it'll be really interesting to see which team they take to Adair Manor, because this is both a young team from an experience perspective, but also, like, not all that young from a age perspective, that's just kind of a weird thing.
And there's been a lot of turnover on these teams from year to year. There's a lot more turnover from 21 to 23 than I was expecting when we were in the RV outside of that event. The fact that, like, Zalatoris never materialized, as a U.S. Ryder Cupper has been, not a great thing on this side. Health is a skill. I completely agree. But no, I don't. Like, would I be surprised if JJ Spahn's on the Adair Manor team? Yes, I would. Ben Griffin, I wouldn't say I'd be. I might be surprised. I mean, there's a long ways to go. I think it's a weird place for me to be, of, like, really disliking the process of how it's gone along. But honestly, if we can say here, I think the 6 guys they took are the 6 that I would have voted for them to take. Granted,
that's why I'm pissed. That's why I'm just, the content, man. I just wanted a curveball in there. I wanted a surprise, and Cam kind of spoiled the Burns thing there. And do you put any onus on the order that he rolled him out in? Do you think
It
there's
was
anything
great
to read
for
into
suspense,
that?
man. I mean, the 2023 final decision was Burns or Keegan, and now it went Burns, and now Keegan's the guy deciding between himself and Sam Burns for that spot. And like, I think he would have been the most justified he could have been if one of Burns, Young, or Griffin played really poorly to end the year, kind of played how Goddard played to close the year. He would have had the grounds he needed to justify picking himself. Again, I think this would have been silly, but we had gotten this far along. I'd have been like, dude, I kind of see where at least you're at. Like you have a vacancy for this 12th spot. This can make sense. I still think that would have been a bad. Again, as much as we obsess over all of the filling out of these final spots, the Ryder Cup's still going to be decided probably way more likely by Scotty Scheffler than it will be Sam Burns. That's just a much more likely outcome in this thing. Doesn't mean it's
Solly,
not going to be really fun to talk about.
On that front, do you see any like obvious, like it seems like Scotty's got two guys that he could easily pair with in Burns and Henley. Do you see any other obvious things jumping out at you from a pairings perspective, either foursomes or four ball? And they're doing what? They're doing foursomes second
first.
session?
Foursomes first.
Okay.
And again, I know the thought process out there is why would you do this? Like you guys stink at foursomes, but at home, the United States does not stink in foursomes. The last 4 Ryder Cups at home, they have dominated Europe. Like it's essentially four balls really close on both sides of the Atlantic. The away team does a lot better in four ball than foursomes, and the home team dominates foursomes. So the idea would be to get out there and get a bunch of points on the board early with this format. Now, I know there's a lot of criticism for the Morikawa pick, so I want to piggyback that pick into this thought as well, which is there is components of Morikawa's game that are really, really good. Like his iron play numbers like this year still really check out. I know he's not a bomber off the tee, but he's a good driver of the golf ball as well. And I know he has not trended great as the year has gone along, but it's the putting that's been a major problem. But can I throw a little, I know I'm not allowed to use data according to Keegan because it gets thrown out the window when there's a lot of fans there. But if you go
it's about how many strokes it takes to get the ball in the hole. Okay,
which is what strokes gained is. Exactly. Morikawa, again, the putting's been the major part of the problem. If you go back to 2023 in Rome, Europe outgained the U.S. by 19 and a half shots gained, okay? 17 of them were tee to green. Almost 2.5 were in putting, okay? So if there's a skill you feel comfortable hiding in this event, I would say it's putting. And I think there's a scenario, again, when you're talking about filling out the bottom part of the lineup, you're not talking about somebody that's going to play 5 matches. It would not surprise me at all to see Morikawa pair up with a decent putter. And I've looked at how Bethpage doesn't shake out great in terms of being able to weigh heavily evens and odds of who's going to hit all the iron shots.
Yeah. Well, also on that front too, I don't think people know what Bethpage is going to be, right?
Correct.
We'll see how they set it up. It could be no rough in Bomber's Paradise. Like it's, there's so many things they can do with the setup as far as, but I do agree. Like you're going to want to have good mid iron play. Feels like, right? Like
so
a lot of those
that's the answer to
kind
how
of
he's made it, right?
Irons.
Yeah. And like JT in 2023 wasn't striking the ball as well as Morikawa had. Like that was kind of like dude, are you going to find it in there? Which was a serious question. And Morikawa was just a little bit different. And I know it's not the most popular pick. It is very clear to me that people online are going to value very recent form very heavily. And again, the Ryder Cup's not next week. It's a month from now. He's got some time to get his game in shape. We'll see if a little rest is a good thing. I don't know, but it's a bet on his talent. Again, I'd rather do that than Keegan try to do both jobs. But I don't know. A lot of varying opinions here. And so far, it's just been you and I chatting. But I think we have somebody who might be out, experiencing some of the game right now who might have an opinion or two. Mr. DJ Pie, hello. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. To paraphrase our good friend Darren Ravel, I feel terrible for our country, but this was tremendous content. Man, this was like, what a cycle this was. We're out here at beautiful Erin Hills today. Very lucky to be out here. And everybody in the group is just glued to phones. We're just watching the entire telecast. Nobody can look away. Oh my God. Cam, is he not going to pick him? He's not going to pick himself. Oh my God. It was electric stuff. Great to be here, guys.
What do you think this is the right call? Do you have we've talked about this a lot, but when it came down to it, were you expecting him to pick himself today, I guess, as well?
100% I was expecting him to pick himself. I feel, I don't know, I'm of two minds. Like TC, sorry, I'm out of breath. A lot of hills out here at Erin Hills.
It's a walk and talk. It's a true walk and talk.
It is. TC, we talk a lot about the great man Sevi, some of these
Yeah.
like European lions. I feel like Keegan kind of had a chance to be one of those dudes.
Sevi would have picked himself.
There's guys that would have picked themselves and they would have gone out and balled out, and you would have been like an American icon forever. And I think he still can be that, but it's a little weird to be like, it felt a little more like a Pascal's wager. I think like the work, like the least amount of bad things can happen if I don't pick myself, basically. Like if I don't pick myself and we lose, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, you should have played, man." And like that's a pretty good way to
It's out of
spend
my
the rest-
hands, guys. They didn't want me to do it.
spend the rest of your career. But I think he said all the right stuff. I think guys are fired up. I'm buying what he's selling. And I don't know. So it's like what we were saying early on when it was first announced. Like I've kind of always been in on Keegan, the captain. I'm not really in on Keegan, the playing captain, like running down to the wire if it was going to be uncertain, which I know he said he made up his mind a couple weeks ago, but I'm in. I think it was the right call. I think they've got the right team. I'm kind of fired up, man. I'm buying what the U.S. is selling for the first time. So Solly, I'll see you that week at Bethpage. I'm back in. We needed this.
Come on, D. I thought you were coming over to the squad.
No, TC, I'm up in the air. It was a fun election to watch, but I gotta ultimately vote my conscience here and stick with the US of A. I'm looking at this giant American flag out here at Erin Hills. I think I'm feeling patriotic for the first time in a while about the Ryder Cup.
I mean, Erin
I'm
Hills is Irish, right? Is there a big
It's
Irish flag there?
Well, it's Irish inspired until U.S. American Brooks came and just knocked the goddamn door down. Right? It's been colonized. So I don't know.
Do we think that Keegan had full agency with these picks, or do we think that he was forced into making some of them by PGA of America, task force, that he's just a
vessel?
face guy? Yeah.
I think he had full agency. I think the way that guys were speaking about him, I think this was what we were saying on the podcast for a couple of weeks is like, man, I know what I'm seeing, which is not very much, but I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And if he's being a better leader behind the sscenes and he's being more transparent behind the scenes and he's letting guys in on the process more behind the scenes, then I think that's a really good thing. And I feel like today was the first good I feel like that was the first good
committee.
No, I think that was the first. That's what Europe's all about.
Inmates running
You can't do this.
Yeah,
you can't do it. We're not letting you do it, dude.
I missed the first 10 minutes, but I got to assume TC's down bad today.
He's
struggling.
I am. It's a dark day. I think also just, man, I'm just disappointed too like I was convinced Tiger was going to come in and just
whose fault is that? That sounds like your fault, TC. I don't know.
Be the guy and all of that because he's been, whether he was involved in the process or not. I think one of the things that probably like made Keegan think twice was the actual process, like the actual 20 seconds of him announcing himself playing.
Oh, totally. I totally agree. I got a extra hand taking over here. Julius, I'm in your hands, man.
Now watch this.
I can't wait to see this playthrough. Come on, buddy.
What hole are you on?
This is number 10. We kind of cut the corner here, Julius. This is like kind of the garden spot here, man. It's
perfect. Sitting down just a little bit.
Sitting down a little bit, but what do we got? 57?
57.
Up
Big
the hill
day
a little
for
bit
guys
with a
named
little backstop.
Julius Mason, DJ's caddy.
Okay. Aggressive 160. He's telling me I'm gonna hit an 8-iron here, guys. Sitting down just a hair, but I think it's gonna pop out of there. Okay. 30 feet right of the hole. He says. I think I got noise canceling headphones on. I don't really know.
I was hoping he would do the Keegan in and out waggle before he got into the shot.
There's a sprinkler long right there. I can't remember whose ball ended up in that.
That was
gotta
me.
Watch out.
That was
Solid,
me.
yeah.
That was the beginning of my downfall.
Here.
Big jumpers out of this rough too. I remember that from my ball. Oh
no!
You know what was really tough was the split second between when my phone updated and I could hear your guys' audio. I know you hadn't seen it yet, and I'm like, maybe it cut out. Like, no, it didn't. All right, guys, I gotta focus on the task at hand.
Go ahead,
hey, dude. This is why you don't try to play in captain. At the
there
same
you go.
time. You can only do one thing at a time. You can't do both. Guys, hey, love the program. Looking forward to listening to the rest on the way up.
Electric Colin. If you listen to this on the pod,
shout to Julius.
You got to go find this on the podcast channel to watch the shot that DJ just hit. But,
Julius, they say you gave me a bad club, man. I don't know what to tell you. All right, I'll see you guys.
Thank you, DJ. Does what I was saying about Morikawa at least make sense in terms of the justification and the grounds for this happening and why you want to bet on that?
Yeah, I mean the guys won 2 majors. One of them didn't have fans there. The other one, was a windless St. George's. I don't know. I mean, he's not the vibes guy either. I don't think, but he's probably somebody you're gonna like. He's gonna be on the next 3 teams too, right? Like I don't think I don't know. I think this is the floor for Morikawa, and hey, maybe gets it together over the next month. I mean, that said, like maybe he also only plays 2 or 3 sessions too. I think I do want to push back a little bit on your foursomes takes. That I think of the home team's done that. I think this is a different away team than we've had in a long time. I think that's where Dodo Molinari can cook a little bit in foursomes pairings and that sort of thing. I think Padraig, for whatever reason, didn't. And I think they've got more options. I think they've got more optionality as far as, again, I'm on record as saying I'd love to see Nikolai on the team because I think he balances out some of the other traits they have on the other side of things. I also think you could easily have both Nikolai and Rasmus on the team, put them out, but just with one guy, you put him out all 5 sessions and you just have Nikolai act like he's Rasmus or Rasmus act like he's Nikolai. I also want to mention I'm still way, way, way in. The President's Cup needs to do this 4 foursomes. They need to have both guys play out of the same bag. Like you can only play 14 clubs. That needs to happen. Get weird. Roll
I think
out,
they're going to need fingerprint scanning on the opening tee at Bethpage to make sure they don't try to pull some shenanigans with some of the Højgaards out there. I mean, so again, trying to piece together, again, just complete estimation here, but I would guess Cameron Young. I don't think you make pairings solely based on golf ball, but both Bryson and Cam Young play a pretty rare golf ball, a different golf ball than anyone else. And that, no idea if the math would work out on them playing together, but I would think that it would. So I could see that as a potential foursomes pairing. I'll be really curious to see what they do with JT without Jordan Spieth on this team. And kind of, he might be more of a 4-ball guy. I really have no idea where they'd go with that because I would still like to see Scotty and Henley play together. I know they paired together really well at the President's Cup last year. Again, you take it to a different golf course. The formulas might work out completely differently. The scenario planning, again, might work out completely differently, than it did for that event. But I don't know. That's kind of – I don't think you need to pair Burns and Scheffler together. I know it was really just one disastrous pairing that is left a sour taste in our mouth for that opening foursomes from Rome. I don't think you need to throw that out, but I also don't think you need to have that. So
I feel like Burns and JT feels like a pretty good foursomes pairing, in my opinion. I'm also curious to see like what they do with Griffin. I doubt they send him out first session. I think they'll probably try to hide. I think there's probably an aversion to like rookies or that sort of thing for at least the first session. Who's going to play? Are they going to play the Max Fly Revolution or not?
I was going to say probably rookie Ben Griffin play your own ball would be your first session. I would expect. Now Cameron Young is his first Ryder Cup, but he has played on a President's Cup team. I don't think they'd be as hesitant to send him out in alt shot because he's got more loud tools as well. Like that's what you're looking for, I think, in a foursomes pairing is like leaning on a particular skill of someone and being able to exacerbate that with the formula of the alternate shot. But
Sully, who was your first guy? Like setting Keegan aside, who was your first guy
out
off the team?
Spieth, of course. I mean, that's my. It's probably Mav, but I don't think he beat down the door nearly enough. I don't think it was necessarily that close. I mean, I think all the guys taken ahead of them are more talented players than Mav is. He does have some loud short game traits, but again, I think the match play formula has been proven to say the tee to green stuff is where you're going to lean, and that's the way they went. Do you have anyone else?
I think Koivu. I think they should have taken Koivu the last spot. Truly, I think I think he's a straight up killer, and I think he would have thrived. And it's an investment in the future.
Silly thing. I don't think he's a PGA of America member yet because he's not.
I'm sure they could figure that out.
I'm sure they could have, but this organization has
NIL days, right?
They didn't let Paul Azinger play because he didn't have like a certain certification back in like 1983 or something like that. So,
No, I do think that like guys like Goddard, I doubt, I'm sure Novak and Mav didn't play well enough down the stretch. I think Goddard was probably a very serious consideration, especially when you consider, but I think his floor needs to be higher. And he just didn't do much at all down the stretch here. Otherwise I think you'd have to go pretty far down the board. I think Wyndham, just laying an egg this season, like that was probably an automatic spot as well.
And Max as well. I mean, he was on the President's Cup team last year. That was kind of a controversial pick at that point because his game was kind of heading in the wrong direction there. But I mean, walking off, leaving Italy in 2023, there was nobody that thought he would not be on the 2025 team and not being one of the leaders of that. So some vacancies have definitely come, which is what makes the Europe thing really impressive in terms of just keeping the same team together and nobody really losing form, Lowry really aside, to a great extent is pretty amazing, honestly.
So, Solly, were you surprised to hear that Cantlay didn't show any emotion?
Stunned. Yeah,
I thought Patrick McDonald. That was one of my favorite tweets of the year. Of like the last thing you see before your company announces, it's just Cantlay's picture there. That was it for me.
There was a lot of really good Zoom related tweets. Will DeVries had the nothing from my end, thanks. That always gets me. That was really good. But it's I'm getting old when I'm looking at all their background decorations. Those plantation shutters. Those are, I mean, like that Apollo investment's really paying off for them. But I mean, it is like I think driving distance is going to be still a premium on this golf course, and I know a way you can increase your driving distance, and you can go to the stacksystem.com/NLU and you can use code NOLAYINGUP for 10% off their products there. And what that's going to do is going to take you into a routine where you are doing golf specific workouts that are awesome for your body and awesome for your golf game. You will see immediate progress. I've talked to so many people. TC, the party doctor.
Yeah, I played with the party doctor yesterday. Don't ask us how the match finished up. We kind of bottled it, but he's a completely different player. He started doing the stack and almost has me almost inspired to start doing it. Ball's coming out of a different window. It's higher. He's like 6'1", and I think 6'1", 6'2", and he's always just bunted it around out there. And I wasn't out driving him by 60 yards. It was jarring.
It will tell you exactly what weights to swing, when to swing them. It times it all out for you. It gamifies it. It makes it fun. It's great. And there's a stack wedge system that it's going to help you dial in your distances with your wedge. I've only done it a few times, and I honestly think it's helped me with my just exactly where I need to take the club back to hit a ball 71 yards is really good. And the stack putting stuff. I know we have a guest that's going to come in here shortly that I think can speak to some of that as well. So go to the stacksystem.com/NLU, code NOLAYINGUP. This system will make you a better golfer, especially if you're tight for time and you need something to just do at home or in your backyard or at the range, whatever. If you need to gamify your practice in some way, I cannot recommend this product enough. TC, we are bombarding you with red-blooded Americans today. The czar, Mr. Neil Schuster. Hello, how are you?
Gentlemen, oh my Lord, busy morning. I've been on the phone, been in meetings. I get off the phone.
Did you get a call from Keegan?
I mean, no, unbelievable. What a feint from the captain. I mean, this gets me so excited. Just playing and outplaying us all like instruments. Unbelievable stuff. Hard to argue with the squad, man. I mean, you can quibble a little bit with Morikawa, but I was just listening in. I kind of agree with you, Sally. I don't think anybody else beat the door down. Would have been cool to see Mav play, but Novak and Goddard up. Like, I feel like those are long shots. You might as well go with history. I am a little disappointed. It was going to be a lot of fun if Keegan played. Good for content, a lot to talk about. But this gets me excited about being a fan of the USA, man. I mean, kind of just played it perfectly. Just really good stuff from the captain. I love it.
Why are you so excited? Like, what gets you excited about
it? It's such a surprise. I was convinced he was going to pick himself, and instead he just kind of played it out and juiced the buzz and made it like. I just think he kind of pulled a 180 on me. I'm shocked. I thought for sure he was going to pick himself, and he didn't.
Neil,
So
I thought for
excited,
sure
TC.
I think your next move is probably after the ball numbers yesterday is probably lobbying him to have Mike Vrabel as one of the assistant
Sure,
captains.
bring him out. I mean, he's a red-blooded American too. And yeah, I'm down in this dungeon. I'm still grinding tape, TC. I'm working through the AFC West right now. Stand by all my ball knower takes, good and bad.
Do you think, Neil, was this a giant scheme, smokescreen, like throwing everybody out? We were extremely justified in believing he was going to pick himself. I refuse to believe like this was not a media-driven thing. Like all of his words were making it sound like he was going to pick himself. What he told Todd Lewis 2 days ago, which was that the rest of the team voted for him to be on the team. I guess what's the goal of this to pull this giant smokescreen, and other than to generate media interest for this, which makes me feel like the PGA Tours or PGA of America is playing puppet.
I mean,
puppet
maybe,
figures.
or maybe he's just a wily veteran. Like I didn't, I apologize to Keegan. I was not familiar with his game in this regard. Like, because I agree with you. So like since Travelers, it's just been like trying to justify and walk back what he said a year ago of like, if I don't make it on points, I'm not picking myself. And it's just like kind of cracking the door open more and more to justify that. And if this was a long con, and I don't think it is, I think he probably didn't play as well in the last 6-7 events since then. And it was probably like, man, it's going to be hard to justify if I'm in that 10-12 spot, which is right where he found himself, which I was like, God, he's still going to pick himself. Like, he still wants to do it. And he didn't. But he didn't show his hand. And I give him a lot of credit for that. He kind of played it all the way down to the wire and then was like, no, I'm going to be the captain. And that's the right thing to do. And kind of picked all the guys I would have wanted him to pick. And you know what? Collin's justified where he sits on that points list. It would have been probably a stretch to put a Mav McNeely in there over him.
But Neil,
But
I thought it was all about
Cam,
recent form, and I thought it was all about the last 3 months strokes gained. I thought that was the only thing that mattered.
I think you could make an argument about that, TC, but I think with Collin, you
Believe
probably
me, that's all he has.
you could probably go.
I can't do it again. I can't do this again.
You can go on history with a guy like Collin. I don't have a problem.
No, you're not allowed. Not allowed to think of anything other than one single thing that you've ever cited. Is the only thing.
I'm not kidding, TC. Like this one decision, this flip, this surprise to me, like makes me much more confident in Keegan Bradley as a captain. I know that's a snap judgment. I'm literally hopping off like back-to-back calls and looking up the news. I'm like, holy shit, this is good stuff, man. Like this, I was not expecting this. So I'm just kind of processing it in the moment. And I think Cam Young and Burns firepower. You've got some new blood with Ben Griffin, some interesting pairing options. I don't know, Team USA is very interesting with guys like Henley and Harris English that aren't super exciting, but making it on points. And then you bring in some exciting guys like Cam Young with the captain's picks. I think it's a great team. I'm excited about the Ryder Cup.
I'm glad Cam Young is on the team. I think I'm just blown away at how over the moon you guys are at just the even hint of competence.
Yes,
of like
yes.
how low the bar was.
Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. But like, yeah, I was looking forward to the Ryder Cup because I thought it was going to be a content bonanza, and like it just an epic setting up for kind of an epic meltdown potentially if Keegan was a playing captain, which I still think would have been really fun and really entertaining to watch unfold. Now I'm like, man, they're probably just gonna fucking ball out, man. Like it's a stacked team. I think there's a like really, really good chance that the US just balls out and blows out Europe. That's what I'm feeling right now, TC.
Do we think that the assistant captains dissuaded him from playing? Or do we think that the narrative of them egging him on and guys saying like, no, like you should play, be sick. We're good. We can handle this.
I think anybody that has had experience being a leader in any of these events would have advised him this is probably too much to do. That's my opinion of this. Don't know that for a fact. Like one of his assistant captains is Jim Furyk, and who has done this with the President's Cup and has done this with the Ryder Cup many times and has been the lead captain of the Ryder Cup. I would imagine his advice, like all of the captains we've ever heard from, and I have some of this documentation ready for what some captains have said here, which is Sam Torrance said it would be the worst decision a captain has ever made. Trevor Emmelman said a Ryder Cup or President's Cup captain has tons of stuff on their plate regarding different decisions, media obligations. In this day and age, I struggle to envision a person being able to deal with that and focus sufficiently on their prep and game in order to be ready. Is Keegan one of the 12 best Americans? Yes, but because he's the captain, I don't think he should play. In my opinion, he should focus on being a leader for the U.S. team and their fans. Like, that is just some captains that have spoken out on it. I've not seen one person who's ever been involved in any of these that has said he should do this. And I imagine behind the scenes, it was probably a lot of people. And I think Keegan is like his like whole ethos is like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. And like, I don't dislike that about Keegan, but when it comes down to like leadership and something that affects other people, I think he had to just be like, all right, you guys are probably right about this. You probably know something I don't. And I would be an all-time GOAT if this did not go well.
I think you said it earlier, Solly. He put himself in an awesome position now, because if they don't win, it's like, well, God, man, if I had played, what could have happened? You know, it's like instead of
If he would have played,
man,
that's
you went
like
1-3.
deep down. If he would have thought he could have and would have helped the team, like he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
No, I think there's just enough.
I'm
There's
just-
enough firepower on the USA side that I don't think. I think the difference between him playing and Sam Burns or Cam Young playing is it's a
I'm
toss
concerned
up.
about the vibes in your team room. I am. I just don't think there's a lot of vibe guys.
I think there are. You look at.
Who are they
I
missing?
mean, they're gonna go.
Who are they
They're
missing?
gonna go have some
I think
team building
Richie's
at
a vibe
Napa.
guy.
I still want to know if Bryson's going to come to Napa and hang out. I think he should. That's really the last question left for me. But God, what a make room for wow situation. You know, around noon for me. I was like, whoa, no, that's crazy. I had to call in. I
Dude.
wasn't planning on calling in. I had to call in.
It sucks. You didn't get to experience it live, because even like the sequence they did everything was genius. Like, it was great. I mean, the second announcement, so it was JT was up first. And then who was the second announcement? Sorry, I wrote it down, but I can't find it right now. Morikawa. Morikawa. So that was like, oh, okay. Well, then, you know, one of Keegan, Griffin. I was like, oh, so at that point I was like, oh, Griffin's out. Uh-oh. Griffin was next. I was like, oh gosh, Cam Young's out. Cam Young was next. And then so it got all the way down to that pick of Keegan versus Burns, and it was good TV. And we actually also have someone who was there asking a couple questions. Data Boy got stuffed in his locker a little bit by the U.S. captain, but from Normal Sport, hard-hitting journalist Kyle Porter is joining as well. Hello, Kyle.
I got the 2010 uniform designs behind me here. That's the design in the background. Solly, we might be back. They did the right thing. I'm
What could
worried
go
they're
wrong?
back.
You guys
Going
are
too well.
simps.
PC, we're so back.
Dodo is going to put you boys in a blender. It's going to be great.
TC is just trying to sow discord here with there's no
Scouts
vibes in the
Inc.
team room. The team's fine. The team's great. The team is what it should be.
It's a home one. You don't need to take massive risks. What was kind of the vibe? I mean, were you surprised? What did you expect coming into today? And was your heart racing like mine was when it got down to that 12th pick?
Not when it got down to the 12th pick, but after JT, my heart started, because obviously, you know, JT's on the team, and then you're like, because I had heard as recently as Sunday, like, hey, Griffin's out, and then heard yesterday, like, hey, Keegan's not, he's out, like he's not going to pick himself. I really
You had heard that. You had heard the Keegan stuff that he wasn't going to pick himself.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I was thinking, like, I was hearing the opposite, but I was also hearing the Griffin stuff, and I'm wondering if there was a legitimate campaign to sow illegitimate leaks or to identify leakers.
I did not hear that Keegan is not picking himself until like really late, like the last 18 hours. So yeah, and this is the question that I asked JT. This was my takeaway from the entire thing, Solly, was I think that Keegan did such a great job of galvanizing this team by not picking himself, because it's such an act of selflessness of like, hey, the only thing that I want to do is play on a Ryder Cup team, and I have the opportunity to do it, and nobody would blame me, right? Like I can do this, and everybody's like, yeah, you played well enough. You've done it before. Like, you've been successful. and he didn't do it. And because of that, the entire team is going to be galvanized around, we have to win this Ryder Cup for Keegan Bradley. And I think that is, I don't know that he meant to do that. I don't know that it's an act of like genius or leadership or whatever, but the fact that it played out like that, I think is incredibly valuable for the U.S. team.
The only
I
hesitation
co-sign
have,
that, and I know TC's going to roll his eyes, but it's true. The guy wants nothing more than to
Incredible
play, and he didn't pick himself.
selflessness.
I think
It is
Seth
selfless.
Law.
That's
Seth Law might
straight
be
up
the
true.
genius here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think Seth was a genius for generating mass amounts of SEO and clicks because the PGA of America is deep into that game.
Well, listen,
Like,
it was a masterful job of doing that. Like this is like boxing promotion. It's like good work by everybody. I mean, you fooled me.
I'm just happy for the PGA of America too that like there wasn't a big technical issue or anything like that. That the Zoom call went off without a hitch.
We can't have those guys on the Zoom for like 55 minutes. Like that's
The
tough.
passcode didn't get out. Like when TC tweeted out a picture of our StreamYard and we had random people popping into the stream.
We don't like that. We don't like that one bit. Hey guys, this is for Porter and Neil. I guess you guys are very bullish here, and Solly's playing his normal role. What is so different this year as opposed to 2024 or 2023? We can go there.
I'd say home soil.
Zach Johnson.
I get that, but overall performance wise, you guys seem very bullish for a team that looks like the people who did have their back on foreign soil, they're not even on the team anymore. You know, Max is out, top point getter. Brooks gone. Harmon gone. Wyndham gone. Those were the top point scorers on your squads. And all of a sudden now you guys are super bullish just because you have home soil where you're expected to win.
I just
what are
see
you going to do when
personally,
you lose?
and Kyle's more of an expert on this stuff than I am. I feel like you've got some real consistency at the top. I know Scott didn't play well in Rome, but he is undisputed #1 player in the world. And then you got guys like Ben Griffin, who's coming in at 9th or 10th on the list, but he's played so consistently all year. It's just been on every single leaderboard. Russ Henley, same thing. Like, I take that guy, put him in the foxhole, man. I don't think that guy's getting scared under pressure. I think he's an upgrade from he and Spawn are an upgrade from Harmon, from Rome. And so it's like I honestly think the team name wise, the US team is less exciting as from a branding and name and like for casual fans. Like, yeah, Max has more cachet than JJ Spawn, but like I think JJ Spawn's just playing better golf potentially than Max was 2 years ago. And it's like he might be boring, but he's effective. Same with Ben Griffin. Like, does he look like he gets hit with an airbag every time he falls through? Yes. Is it effective? Yes. You know, has he played really good golf? Yeah.
Airbag.
You know, and then you have some guys that have like shown really good recent form. You got Cantlay, who has the historical performance. I mean, God, I think you guys probably flashed up his like career match play record. Like, that's Treadstone stuff. That's nightmare fuel for Europe. And he's playing well the last 3 months. You know, JT, he's kind of the, team mascot and just like thorn in Europe's side. He justifiably makes a team. That wasn't a reach, so there's no drama there. I don't know. I just feel like even if it's a little bit more boring with like guys like Harris English has played great golf this year. Like I feel like the floor has been raised, which is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I don't know that my optimism has as much to do with today as it does just the entire year. I mean, Harris English, Russell Henley, JJ Spawn, they've been better at golf this year than Ludwig and Victor Hovland and Rasmus Højgaard. Like, they just have. And I think a lot of American fans, I think I said this on our last pod, Sully, a lot of American fans are looking at these teams on paper and being like, we're going to get killed. And I get that because you've got bigger names on the European side, which is usually kind of the reverse of how it goes. You've usually got bigger names on the American side with Tiger and Phil and, you know, all that. But the Americans are just better at golf right now. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but I combine that with being at home. And I just think you have a much better chance, I think, to win this Ryder Cup than you did going to Rome.
The only caveat I'd give you before I got to jump is better at stroke play golf, right? So when you throw in the foursomes and match play component, like that's where this gets like, okay, yes, like technically in the day-to-day tournament golf, they've been better, but like alt shot, you know, you kind of could throw some things out the window. TC, it's where Dodo could get in asses potentially.
Well, yeah,
What a
I think
sentence.
also, but I mean, I'll give you guys a bunch of credit. Like, I think it's a much more malleable U.S. team, like you said. Like, the Harris Englishes and the Russell Henleys and the JJ Spawns. Like, those are guys that weren't on these previous teams that feel like they can play situational golf and and they're not the big names, but I think those are the glue guys you got to have. I guess question for you guys: do you think if without the emergence of Cam Young over the last, or I guess I should say reemergence of Cam Young over the last 4, 6, 8 weeks, do you think Keegan plays on the team?
I mean, he said that I can't remember if he said this in the presser. We did a little scrum afterwards where he was talking about the golf ball. TC, you would have been proud. He was getting steep on different guys' golf balls, but he said at some point that he was considering it after the Travelers, right? And to me, like his words today were, "Hey, this has been settled for a while that I was not playing," which.
Even better. God, that's sick. He's just stringing us along.
It's either a lie or
There's
it's
a good
sick.
answer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult to believe. However, I will say his disposition and demeanor throughout was not of someone who just figured this out like 24 hours ago. Yeah. He was not rattled at all. He was not, there was no like, there was no, it was like, and he almost seemed relieved to not be playing. Honestly, like in the scrum afterwards, he was like, I am so fired up to be the captain. And there was almost like a peacefulness and a relief to not have like I think he would have inserted himself if he felt like it was best for the team. And he very clearly throughout the day, whether it was privately or in public, did not think that was the best thing for the team, which I thought was, again, commendable, but also like a little bit of like, yeah, like kind of what Sully's been saying for the last 6 months.
God, I'm gonna go on record right now as saying I want Team Rose to be playing captain at Adair Manor.
He'll be 47.
What's that?
At
No,
age
next
47?
In 2 years.
27.
Yeah, he'll be 47 years old.
Oh yeah. I want him to be playing captain.
I want Phil as playing captain in like 31.
Oh.
Porter, what do you think the open? And this is putting you on the spot here, but if we had to guess opening foursomes now that we have the team complete, because again, we're talking only picks here, right? We haven't talked about JJ Spawn, we haven't talked about Sky, we haven't talked about Henley, all those guys. What do you think the most likely run out is of guys in that opening session in foursomes?
Scotty Henley, you have to play Scotty, right?
Yep.
Cantlay
Xander. Yep.
I'm trying to think of.
Can someone throw me a Bryson Cam Young?
Yes.
Just
I think
send
that's
them out first, man. Get kind of thunder and lightning.
JT Griffin. I don't know.
Yeah, I would just, again, completely guessing. I think a Burns Morikawa combination could be really interesting in terms of ball striking and putting trade off.
Yeah,
but
do you guys have concerns with Xander, but B with Cantlay as well, of just like Cantlay's swing, like I know his putting has been kind of the Achilles heel. His swing does not look as good as it's been in recent. A little bit poofier and the low,
trying so hard,
really
guys.
low with the driver.
So
I'm not
trying so hard. It's so impressive.
I'm not. I'm like, that's legitimately what I witnessed out there. I followed him for 16 holes on Sunday.
I mean, do you have concerns with Ludwig and Hovland? I think that some of these guys, and I was actually
Ludwig's
surprised.
coming. He's trending.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. I was surprised at how effusive Keegan was with his praise of Cantlay. Like he basically said about Cantlay what ZJ said about JT back in 23, which is like when he talks, people listen, and he was born to play in Ryder Cups. And that was a little bit surprising to me. But I think that the players' view of Cantlay is a lot different than like what
I'm not diminishing Cantlay's experience or his track record at all. I think he's like he was a no-brainer to put on this team. I'm just saying from a pure golf perspective, he doesn't seem like the same player he was a couple of years ago.
I hear what you're saying. Neil, I know you got to run. You got a packed calendar. We appreciate you popping on here. And I'm excited that you're excited. That makes me more excited for the Ryder Cup. So
I'll see you in Farmingdale, gentlemen.
Yeah, baby.
Let's go. Yeah, we all have a tendency to, like, when we say a name, when we're talking about Ryder Cup, that we're just assuming that they're going to be at a certain level of play when it comes to said Ryder Cup, which, like, again, Scotty Scheffler got his ass handed to him at the last Ryder Cup. So it's I guess I'm just muted in general. Like I'm not out over my skis in terms of expectations for this team. Do I think this team can lose? I do. Of course I do. But I also am a huge believer in home field advantage in this event. And I know we just don't get that much of a sample size to be able to be conclusive kind of on if that's what has been the total. Like that's how it's gone dating back to 2014. But can we definitively say that's why? It's hard. It's kind of hard to say. But I would think where I'm standing right now, would I feel really confident in this team if they were going to Adair Manor in a month? I don't think I would. But I think with the combination of the home field advantage, I think that the U.S. team should win the Ryder Cup.
I agree. Although, Sully, I will say I actually would like this team going on the road because I think that you have a lot of guys that are dogs that are not like, you don't have the Koepkas that are like massive names, but you've got guys like Henley and Spawn that have just like figured stuff out over their career. And I think that's what
kind of like career underdogs a little bit too. Even Griffin, right?
That's a little bit what the feel of this team. And I almost feel like it's a little bit better suit. I think Keegan would be a really good road captain. He has so much juice that they have lacked on the road in the past.
Do you think this is a back-to-back? Do you think if they win, he runs it back? Because I do.
I hope so.
That had to be the plan.
I don't know if they will. He got asked a question in the scrum afterwards.
I don't think that was the plan. I honestly think make that the plan, but I don't think that was the plan.
I think it's like, dude, this one's going to be, in theory, relatively easy to win at home. Like you should get this one, and then it's like, let's. In theory. I mean,
like, again, Porter, we were sitting in the RV at Whistling Straits, and Solly was like, I don't see how they don't blow them out in the next 7 of these. Like we are
they were going a decade of dominance is what I said. You also said that the 21 European team was going to win like 2 days before that.
That was wishful thinking. I had to.
That was wishful thinking on my part. So I could see, like, I think Keegan would make a great road captain, I say that. I know
home captain.
Well, I know that. That's why I was like, you don't need to take an unnecessary risk at home. I know you're kind of being a little bit of a renegade here. We need the renegade approach on the road, right? So if you take care of your home one, and if you want to be the captain for the road one, I think people are going to get behind that. Like, I think that's an easy thing to rally behind. That's the best case scenario for all of this playing out.
People are already behind Keegan in so many ways that they either have been ambivalent or been against past U.S. captains. And Keegan was asked in the scrum afterwards, somebody asked, would you recommend to the PGA to ask a player that's still like playing well in his, like Keegan is, to ask them to be a captain in the future? And he kind of smirked and was like, I'd probably tell them to like consider all the things that go into it. So I don't know if Keegan would even want to. I love that we're talking about 2027, by the way. But
we're going to talk about 31 here pretty shortly.
But I do think he has so much. The thing I was just struck by so many different things. JT mentioned that it's the most transparent and honest a captain has been with players throughout the lead up, like the process of selecting the team. And the reason that is crazy to me is because Keegan himself has said, hey, I'm kind of a loner. I'm kind of introverted. And so I asked him about it afterwards. I said, how do those two things go together? We're talking about radical transparency and somebody who's like kind of introverted and keeps to himself. And he said, the only thing I care about is whatever I can do to help the Team USA win. And he just so clearly like cares about that above everything else that he will put his own personal, like even personality aside to try to help the team win, which I think is, he's just, look, they might lose in New York. I think he's been an awesome captain up to this point.
Did Kyle, anything else come out of the scrum? Any other?
He said he's been trying to run the team like you would run the Boston Celtics, which I thought was, I don't know.
I'm a big Brad Stevens guy.
Yeah, maybe they could get Brad Stevens in on the. What did you think about his answer to my data question, Solly?
like shooting the low scores and strokes gained are the same exact thing. It's the same thing.
I know.
And he
But no,
knows
Solly, I
that.
think there's some contextual stuff there too, as well, though, of like when you're in the hunt, or
Sure.
like all strokes gained aren't created equal, or
Yes.
all rounds aren't created
But in match
equal.
play, it is like there's not, you don't need to just hand pick, cherry pick from the times you're playing good. Like scrapping something out when it's not there can be really valuable in match play if your opponent also is playing poorly, you know? So I feel like the general
do
public
think
tends to think that the pressure rounds are the most important, you know, in
I don't
stroke
think it's
play.
necessarily pressure rounds, but I do think there's something to be said for, like, especially over these last 3 weeks of, hey, you know what? It's Saturday afternoon at Caves Valley. This course isn't a fit for me. I'm not
Sure.
playing great, and like I'm exhausted, and I just want to get to BMW, or I just want to get to Tour Championship, or I just want to get to through this because I'm 29th in the FedEx Cup, or
Sure. I agree. I agree with that, but it's also like sometimes I want the answer of like who's really good at toughing it out and not laying an egg in one particular round, because
totally, I get
not
that.
a lot of
Yeah.
match play matches are like two guys played great. Usually it's it's kind of in that middle zone, or and sometimes it's pillow fights, and it's really hard, as much as we do it, I know, to look at, like, we only have information from stroke play events. It's hard to project out what that means for match play events, but there's very few players that are really good at stroke play that would be bad in match play, right? Like it just is, obviously you can look at some little stuff of like, all right, this guy makes more doubles and more birdies, which can be a good thing in 4-ball. Like it doesn't really matter that much if you make a double in 4-ball versus, but at the percentages we're talking about with a lot of these guys, it's just really hard to make meaningful conclusions from all that. I'll say this. Yeah. I think a big, like, good picks. I like the picks. I think a big next step, the one that we don't know the answer to, is just like what I've been dying for from a U.S. captain is the management of these players, the expectations of when they're going to play and how you are setting them up to play their best golf is something we hear so frequently from the European guys of the actual tangible steps the captains take to help them play the best golf.
Plan.
Luke Donald, we're going to play 3-hole matches. So like Europe dominated the first hole in Rome, like completely dominated. And that was a mindset that was put in place by the captain. Like the first hole is more important than the 15th hole in match play. Like the first hole means a ton. Like it just changes the win probability so much more than the 15th hole likely will. And like setting that mindset, put Europe on a path to get the crowd galvanized and to end that thing in the opening session. So what gets done from here on out to set up all of these guys to play their best golf, end up in comfy pairings in roles that they're really comfortable, being in, knowing what the set expectations are for playing wise and what the variables might be. Like if this goes poorly, you're going to play in this, and having and managing all of that is a massive blind spot for all of us as fans. And it's really impossible to weigh in on in the moment. That's the big question mark for Keegan from now through the Ryder Cup, is getting these guys, one, not competitively rusty. I know they're going to play one event at the Pro Core, but they all said that they were way too rusty in Rome. Is one event enough to stay sharp? Like European players are going to play more than the American are in the coming weeks. I cannot fathom an excuse where they show up and make an excuse of being rusty. Like you're aware of this problem. I don't know what you got to do to avoid it. But let's make sure that guys are ready to play. Because again, we're in a different era of when the season ends and when this event is being played than we were, 8 years ago or so.
Yeah. Two things real quick on that. I think one, Keegan was, I thought, a little dismissive of some of the stats and data and stuff. And as it related to my question, I thought that was fine. But he had the quote of, "Hey, when you step up on the first tee, none of that matters." And it's like, well, I understand where you're coming from. The way you're saying that makes me a little bit concerned about like the planning of all this, like you're talking about, Solly. But I think too, I'm going to keep going back to the JT quote about nobody's ever been more transparent or more honest with us in the lead up. I would be shocked if you got a Brooks and Scotty situation that happened in Rome where they were like, we didn't know, like we had no, wasn't it Brooks and Scotty that they had no idea that they were going to play together or whatever?
Allegedly, yes.
And I think surprisingly to me, because Keegan has never struck me as the most clear or concise or best communicator in the world. It seems as if that has been his strength throughout this entire captain's pick process. And so logically, I would think that would continue as they proceed over the next month. Like I would be very surprised if the communication was not clear, concise, and great like it's been seemingly thus far.
I think, I give Keegan a lot of credit for seemingly taking a weakness and turning into a strength and evolving and that sort of thing. I think some of the platitudes we're throwing his way are maybe more of a reflection of previous leadership than they are of the current regime of like Kyle, like were there any Zach Johnson questions or like, hey, have you talked to Zach at all about what he did? Or because like I know he referenced Scouts Inc., right? Like that's the stats company or whatever. And like you guys are talking stats and all of that. Like they're still using the same stats company that seemingly didn't prepare them well, or they made a conscious effort not to properly use the stats.
He was asked about like who he's drawn from, like who he has leaned on. And he actually referenced, he said, I wouldn't have been able to do this process without the vice captains, without Snedeker and Furyk, and I can't remember all of them, Woodland.
Kisner and Woodland.
Yeah. And so those were the guys that he ran to. He did not, and I asked him about, hey, where'd you learn like the communication and the honesty and all that stuff? And he didn't say anybody. He just said doing what's best for the team. So the only people that I heard him reference were his vice captains. He didn't say anything about Rome, thankfully. He didn't
learn what not to do.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't mention Zach or anybody like that. So
I can't believe Zach Johnson was a captain. That just is God.
I'll tell you who I would bring in as an assistant captain.
Here we go.
At least just make sure he's here. Is Max. He seems like the perfect dude to have out there, driving a car, listening to guys. Just
go out there and scream your head off too. Like that is what has been missing from like a U.S. team member is the Shane Lowry that's just out there running down the fairway, fist pumping. Like have that be Max. He's not playing. Like have that be him just running out there, getting guys galvanized. And like, I know this is stupid, but I've always said like the U.S. just needs somebody that goes out there and makes himself look silly. Like JT and Berger on the opening tee, like chugging beers, like go out there and make yourself look silly and everyone's going to have more fun and you're going to loosen up and you're going to probably play better golf. I honestly and truly believe that as
get Horschel out there.
Sure. I could get down with that.
Guys, couple questions for you from X, the Everything app. I've got one from Holy Falk one. Will Cantlay wear a hat this time? Will they get a hat that fits? And then will that prove that
he's getting paid now? He's got no reason not to wear the hat.
It's true.
I don't know. Was he getting paid last time though too?
I think I've come all the way back around on Cantlay. Like he's like all the memes of his Zoom and everything were incredible. I'm just kind of like in on the character that I don't think he's playing a character. I think it's kind of who he is. I think I'm gone so far the other way that it's like Patrick Reed. Like I think I'm back in on it.
All I know is
do you think Reed got a phone call? Like, hey, Pat, you're not on the team.
Justine might have, but I don't know if Reed did.
How far down the list do you think Keegan went with the phone calls?
Well, that was one of my things, TC, was he kept saying like, oh, all these guys these were such hard phone calls. I was like, who was expecting a call that the quote he had to Todd Lewis, Solly?
Yeah.
Who was that?
That is the biggest rope-a-dope of everything. If there's guys that think they're going to be on this team that aren't, I don't know if there's any one person sitting at home that could have thought he was going to be on the team. I mean, Mav had a case to be made, but I don't think he was a lead case. What's that?
Kinda. I mean, barely.
He didn't knock down the door.
Comments are saying Spieth, of course. He's probably heartbroken sitting at home. I know, of course, as well, but. No, that was the biggest, like, all right, you were totally just playing us. And I don't know why, like, again, other than just like creating buzz around the event. I'm not sure the US team is better off for this giant rope-a-dope you've pulled, but it was clearly a lie when you said that earlier this week to Todd Lewis. So
do you think Keegan called himself?
I bet he looked in the mirror and gave himself the speech.
Good question here from DNL SRIAN. Will Keegan unpack the suitcase tonight?
I think he waits until they win. I bet he brings it, but if they win Sunday night, I bet he brings it
unpacks
to the party.
On the 18th green on Sunday.
I bet he does it in the team room and unpacks it.
Oh, that'd be. I'm into that. I'm into Keegan. Like, I think he's just. I don't know. Seth Wall might be the true genius here. Like I said,
I think it truly is having someone who was kind of an outsider. I think is probably, I guess you could probably say the same thing about like Tom Watson.
How'd that go? Yeah.
But
yeah. I think TC. I think that's where he talks about these phone calls and saw you say like maybe he wasn't being totally truthful. I also think he views it from the perspective of Chris Gotterup and Mav McNeely and some of those guys of like, hey, maybe I wasn't the 13th guy, but I know what it feels like to be like the 15th guy or the 16th guy. So I do think he has some of that perspective and empathy that maybe some other guys haven't had in the past.
Maybe Ricky got a phone call. I mean, Ricky honestly has played some pretty decent golf and has been on past teams. Like I would think he would have gotten one. You said, how old is Keegan? He is 39 years, 2 months. Yeah.
Okay. So next one, he'll be 41. That's the other thing. Maybe he says, no, like I'm going to
try and make the next one.
I want to try and make it. I do think that Gotterup and Young, if one or if Young hadn't played well and Gotterup obviously didn't play well, those two guys made his life a lot easier. I think Young made his life a lot easier because I think he would have picked himself if Cam Young hadn't have stepped up to the plate.
I think that's fair. I mean, honestly, I don't think
stepped up to the plate. Is that an MLB joke?
It wasn't intended to be, but it is now.
I think he could have made a case for himself over anyone that was left off the team, but I think the 6 that he ended up picking had a stronger case to be on the team.
God, I'm so bummed it was rational and logical and level-headed.
I did get a question here. Jay Burke, does Solly feel any remorse for cyberbullying Keegs off the team? Absolutely not. I did what I had to do for my country. I've served this country in the only way that I could, which was to call as much attention to this farce as possible. And
maybe you would have played great. Maybe you lost it for him, Solly.
Maybe, but I'm relieved that we are not taking that risk. And Out of Place asked if I will apologize to Captain Bradley. I will not. I will absolutely not apologize. If they go and blow them out, then maybe I will say, and it comes out that this was a giant marketing scheme the whole time, I will apologize on that Sunday night. So
he might need to apologize to you for considering it.
No, it gave us a lot of great content. I don't apologize for that at all. Do you think there is a world where people like a legitimate case for if the U.S. loses that this was the wrong decision? Like, I know that's going to happen in the media, but do you think that that's like a legitimate case that anyone could have?
No, I mean, you always could. This frustrates me. I wrote this the other night or tweeted about it or something, but you can only make decisions based on the information you have in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And to look back and say like, well, we lost by 1.5 points. So therefore it was the wrong decision. I think that's, especially like a month from now, it just seems foolish. People could make that case, but I am a very firm believer in like decision making is not good or bad based on what the outcome of the decision was, especially that far into the future.
I thought some of those quotes the other day were absolutely outrageous. I think you put them in your newsletter, Kyle.
He said like, well, we won't know if this is a good decision until Sunday night of the Ryder Cup. And you're like, what? Like, then what? Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. But people are very opinionated about that idea, about the decision-making idea. But yeah.
Of note, the U.S. was minus 130 on the FanDuel Sportsbook prior to the picks being made. Europe won plus 145. Odds as of now, U.S. minus 130, Europe plus 145. The picks did either. It looks like Europe has gone to plus 150 a little bit. So very little moved from this news. But again, markets are kind of factoring in the 50% chance that he doesn't.
Do you bring Kyle? Do you bring Gabby Golf Girl's dad in as an advisor?
God. That response to you about how he's on Morikawa's bag this week. That I mean, if you understand any of what that means, like you're in way too deep. But that's like that was so funny.
Hey, Solly, before we open this up to questions from people that are tuning into the live show right now, and I appreciate Kyle sticking around as long as he had, but the U.S. team has not won a single point in the last Ryder Cup or the last President's Cup's opening sessions. You guys mentioned a little bit
crazy.
changes that you want to see. Obviously, a lot of it is staying in form or finding new form. Procore is going to be a big part of that. Hopefully they talk more about that at Procore and the PGA Tour media team leans into it. But what other things, Kyle, do you think they could do or should do in order to be more prepared for this opening session that hasn't gone very good for them?
Just a refresher, they won 5-0 in the opening President's Cup in Canada.
That's true.
The second day they lost all 5 matches. But
very true.
I think.
Good call.
I mean, if you go back to 2016 at Hazeltine and 2021 at Whistling Straits, I think they're 7-1 in the opening session. Of both have been foursomes, and so I think that they are off to a good start of starting with foursomes. Again, it has been really interesting, Cody, that both sides have started with foursomes and dominated over the last whatever that is. 10 years, 11 years, 9 years, whatever.
2018, Europe started with 4-ball.
Okay.
And then they rope-a-doped him into bad foursomes pairing. It was a chess move
because the U.S. won 3. The U.S. won 3-1
that morning in 4-ball,
and then they got smoked in the afternoon.
Yep.
Okay, I had those mixed up. But
Cody, to your question on Procore, like I don't think the tour. I think the tour's said to Golf Channel and others that they're not allowed to talk about the Ryder Cup.
I hope that was just a tour championship thing. I saw Fax's quotes there, which made me chuckle.
Yeah, I think getting those getting the pairings right, obviously, and saying even right now, like, hey, here are the possibilities. Here's what we're thinking, so guys can go in. I just, again, like, there's a lot of consternation around the U.S. team because as U.S. fans, we think, oh, we should win no matter where it is. But they have been dominant at home. Like, they've been really good. And I think a lot of that is because nobody brings any juice on the road. I mean, I was yelling about that in 2023. JT was the only one. Burns a little bit. But I think don't get too cute with the pairings, with the foursomes pairings. Put your best guys out there, and you should take care of business.
And it's I guess so Europe started 4-ball. So the U.S. has won the opening session every year going back to 2010, other than 2023. Like Europe started with 4 balls in 2014 as well, and U.S. won that one 2.5, 1.5. I'm going back to 2010. I don't remember what happened in that.
That was
they won that one too. They won 4-ball in that one. The U.S. has won the opening session almost every time other than 2023. They won the opening session in 08. They definitely didn't in 06. That's the last time you got to go back other than Rome, where they haven't won the opening session, regardless of the format. So,
I mean, I am like, I think this European team, because of the continuity of their little club that they have and everything. I mean, I'm joking, but like they have.
Are you joking?
Kind of. I mean, they're going to leave a top 10 player in the world at home, which is tough to see with Harry Hall.
There's no spot in the
We're
club.
not doing that.
We're not doing that.
Driver's liability. No, we're not doing that. Can we talk about 2031? It's in Spain. We can talk about the great man Seve.
What I was going to say is I think this is a really, really good chance for Europe to win in the U.S. I truly do. Like, that's not a bit. They have, like, Rory made it a goal the 10 seconds after the 2023, and I think they've all been thinking about that and planning for it. And obviously Donald and Dodo and all those guys are great at what they do. I think this is going to be I hope that and think it's going to be a really close, great Ryder Cup, which we haven't really had since Medina. They've all been blowouts since then. Yeah.
There's just some big question marks too. Like, Bryson hasn't been really quite that good since major season ended, and he hasn't played. You know, what is Bryson? What's the shape of his game going to be like? I think it's going to depend on what his filming calendar looks like.
I was going to say, Solly, I feel like he's probably better suited where, like, he can get up for a video that week of, like that week between Procore, and like, I'm not worried about Bryson getting up. I think he's You know, it's just a matter of if manufacturing can keep up. If they can.
Bryson and Scotty played together at 2021. Would they
Oh,
pair
wow.
them together?
That's when Bryson said he had a brass chest.
Yeah. Oh God, I love this event, man. It's the through line, man. It just keeps churning. I'm so impressed with how they did all this. If this was all one big scheme, they absolutely got me, and I don't feel bad for buying into it because they were telegraphing that this was going to happen. And credit to Keegan, they pulled the rug at the last minute. So, anything else we're missing before we wrap?
Final prediction. What's the final score?
I'll say 15-13 US.
I'll say 16-12.
I'm going to say 14-14. Europe retains the cup.
Calling for a retention.
I think we still have some merch to go with that.
Retained in the USA. All right, Porter. Thanks for calling in on the road and for the on the ground reports from the circus of this day that was TC as well. Cody, thanks for scrambling to get live on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks everyone for tuning in live on a Wednesday afternoon. 2,600 of you still sitting here as we go to wrap this up. Thanks everyone that tuned in afterwards and whatnot. So we'll continue to bring the Ryder Cup content. Got a fun little one coming here in about 2 or 3 weeks, looking into captaincy on the honestly, Keegan not taking himself kind of unravels a little bit of what I had going, but we'll get through that. We'll work on it, and then we'll have our normal content around the event as well. But thanks everyone for tuning in.
Listen, I'll be in the lab with the great man Bjorn, the great man Dodo, the great man Jose Maria, LD, all those guys.
Europe will be making their picks on Monday. TC and I are going to chat Monday. Our Sunday pod this week will be out Monday of Labor Day. And TC and I are going to react as well to the Team Europe picks on Monday evening as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Cheers.